Welcome to this third in a series of 3 sessions dealing with what's new in ArcGIS for AutoCAD 350. This session deals with customizing ArcGIS for AutoCAD through extensions to AutoLISP. In this release, I can combine these new ArcGIS for AutoCAD Lisp functions with existing AutoCAD AutoLISP functions and commands to customize the behavior of my drawing to great advantage. Most of the things I work with in ArcGIS for AutoCAD, web services, features, schema, and attributes, now have AutoLISP tools that I can employ to manipulate them. In this session, I will review the Esri commands. I'll take a look at the AutoLISP reference guide. I will show you how I invoke tools from AutoCAD toolbars, ribbons, command lines, and scripts. I'll also explore some AutoLISP samples that I've created. Let's get started. ArcGIS for AutoCAD has command line equivalents for most of the user interface controls. The buttons on the ribbon call these commands. Although technically not Lisp functions, these commands can be called by AutoLISP and other AutoCAD APIs to invoke them when needed by some automated task. Because of this, I consider them as additional functions I can use in my AutoLISP customization. A list of these ArcGIS for AutoCAD commands are found here in the help. I can type these into the command line or include them in my AutoLISP functions with the AutoLISP commands function. Most of the commands will call the user interface to complete the needed parameters. But there are some that either perform a specific function or that have a command line completion, such as the useful Esri select features function that I use extensively within my Lisp routines. The help includes a section on customizing ArcGIS for AutoCAD with AutoLISP. Because I'm working in AutoCAD, I can use all of the menu customization, scripting, and other APIs of AutoCAD when I'm customizing work in ArcGIS for AutoCAD. In addition to the ArcGIS for AutoCAD command line functions, I use a new set of AutoLISP callable functions shown here organized by the GIS objects that they control, and here in a list form. Each function has a description that defines the syntax of the function, a definition of various input parameters, and return values, and an example of the syntax as it might appear in my code. Here is a typical line of Lisp code, where I'm looking to find a feature class's geometric type. The AutoLISP interpreter will process each line of code from the inside of the parentheses out. I want to use the current feature class and get its properties. I'm interested in the geometric type property, which is one of the items returned as an associated list. I want to set my variable to use the second part of the geometric type associated pair. Using the output of one function as the input of another and processing lists is a common practice in Lisp to get my answer. I invoke AutoLISP functions and commands containing ArcGIS for AutoCAD tools in the same way I invoke any AutoLISP function in AutoCAD. The only requirement is that the ArcGIS for AutoCAD application is installed and running. Any method I choose to use to invoke an AutoLISP function or command that includes specific ArcGIS for AutoCAD functions will then be accessible to me. I create my own AutoCAD toolbars that I use to invoke my AutoLISP routines. I am also working here on an AutoCAD ribbon to invoke these same functions. I will share many of these functions on ArcGIS Online as a zip folder of files that I hope are useful to others. I have added commands that load and call my Lisp routines to these ribbon panels and toolbar buttons. The method for customizing AutoCAD's interfaces are outside the scope of this session, but know that the techniques I use are the same as any other user interface customization in AutoCAD. I know that I'm often going to be using my imagery services that I maintain in ArcGIS Server for most of my projects. When I want to add it to my drawing or to drawings that other people give to me, I don't want to have to browse through the server connection to hunt for it. I know where it is, and I can use the new AutoLISP Esri_image service add function to just add it. I created this simple function that prompts me for one of several services that I use frequently. Instead of having one button for each dataset, I push this one button, and it prompts me for which of the datasets I want to load. Some are just single map services, while others may be compilations of datasets and many services. I update this AutoLISP routine whenever I want to add different sets of data. This one button becomes a convenient way for me to store my changing personal data adding needs. The ArcGIS for AutoCAD Lisp tools include fine-level control over the creation of schema, data, and attributes. I created this series of 3 functions to work with AutoCAD blocks, their attributes, and ArcGIS feature attributes. I call this function AFA block to feature class. It will take all of the block definitions in my drawing and create a different feature class for each one, and use attribute definitions of the blocks as field names. Now I have ArcGIS for AutoCAD feature classes, one for each block name, each with field attributes that match the block attribute tag names. This next sample pushes any block attribute values from blocks in ArcGIS feature class field values that have matching field names. With these 2 functions, I have built an ArcGIS schema from existing block attributes in a drawing and populated that data with features and attribute values. These drawings were assembled before ArcGIS for AutoCAD was invented, but I can use its information to build my feature classes. What if I want to perform the opposite task? I can use block attributes to display ArcGIS field values. I am defining an AutoCAD block that matches one of the ArcGIS point feature service layer names in my drawing. I know that when I do this, ArcGIS for AutoCAD will populate my drawing with these blocks instead of the default point symbols when these point features are drawn by a feature service. This routine then updates block attributes with field values that match. This is the reverse of what the previous sample did. I have created Lisp routines that automate the extraction of features and maps, functions that create reports and do calculations, and automate the synchronization of services, functions that modify symbology, and automate the construction of multi-feature assemblies, functions to assist in locating my drawing on the map, and commands and functions to label features with text from feature class attributes. I can use these new AutoLISP tools to great advantage when working with ArcGIS Web Services and editing ArcGIS data in AutoCAD. In this session, we reviewed the use of Esri commands and how I can use them in my AutoLISP routines. We've taken a look at the AutoLISP reference guide. I've showed you how to invoke AutoLISP routines from toolbars, ribbons, the command line, scripts, and more. I've also taken a look at some of the samples of the types of tools I've been building. If you haven't had a chance, be sure to review the previous 2 sessions in the 3-part series found at this location. Be sure to look for other training resources and demos related to ArcGIS and CAD integration at this same location.